Hey guys, tonight we set out on a journey through time and myth, a passage into the ethereal realm of the gods where the king of Olympus himself, Zeus, plays a game of cosmic hide and seek. The air around you thrums with electricity. You can almost feel the distant rumble of storm clouds, a prelude to the gods' dramatic entrances. Imagine the sky's expanse suddenly shifting, the serenity shattered as the serene blue transforms into a stage for thunderous deeds. Yet nestled within these powerful displays lie the tender threads of curiosity. What compels such an entity, a god of unfathomable might, to indulge in transformations? You're about to find out, although fair warning, if you find yourself turned into a swan or a bull, you probably won't survive this myth. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd love for you to share your location and the local time as we set our sails for mystery. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. In the beginning, when the world was shaped by forces both tangible and unfathomable, Zeus, the master conjurer, embraced his peculiar habit of metamorphosis. You find yourself walking on a cloud, each step buoyant and curious. Below the land stretches a canvas of promises and whispers ripe for the exploits of divine whims. You ask, why would such a god choose to morph into creatures of the earth when merely lifting a finger could move mountains? His motivations were as layered as a tapestry, worn through countless generations. Sometimes it was power he sought to remind the mortals of divine supremacy. Other times, mere mischief fueled his escapades. Imagine, for instance, Zeus muting his commanding presence into a mere ray of sunbeam just to eavesdrop on a mortal conversation. According to some accounts, historians still debate whether his most famous disguise, a swan, was an act of romance or deception, as he gently wooed Queen Leda with feathers and charm. And then there are those transformations driven by the purity of curiosity itself, a chance for the king of gods to step beyond his own omnipotence and taste the offerings of the mortal world. You sense a tinge of irony for a god with limitless power to so often find himself basking in the simplicity of being cypress trees, wind, and gentle mists that kiss the earth at dawn. An unusual detail emerges. It's said that once Zeus turned into a giant ant, joining a parade of his miniature kin for several sunrises, captivated by the eloquent chaos of their community life. As you journey further into the narrative, the realm unfolds like the pages of an ancient scroll, unrolling to reveal tales passed down through the ages. You stumble upon one of his more mischievous exploits, a time when Zeus morphed into bull form. This wasn't just any bull, but a magnificent creature, pure white, with horns as sharp as the crescent moon. Tiffany-like, it glowed, a jewel of ethereal beauty. And in this guise he charmed Europa, carrying her gently across the waves to Crete. The soft brush of divine intervention overlays each motif of the transformation with splendor and intent. Although bright as constellations, these tales serve as intricate knots in the fabric of our understanding of empathy and impulsiveness. Maybe Zeus himself felt a kind of thrill weaving himself into the world, rather than always hovering above it in an endless sky beyond touch. Amidst these stories, a tender calmness embraces you, sweeping you further into the folds of myth, where time and reality ebb and flow at the whimsical mercy of the divine. Even now, historians still debate whether these were acts of indulgence veiled in necessity or spontaneous whispers of the heart. You, like Zeus, hover between worlds warmed by the miracle of possibility, diving deeper into the mystery of old. As your eyes grow heavy, you wonder if perhaps the very fabric of these myths rests on the simple notion that regardless of power, even gods find a world of joy and wonder in the art of transformation. Zeus's myriad guises became a dance, a tapestry of life, woven from the threads of endeavor, adoration, and stars, doubly bright in a velvet sky. You shift softly in your cocoon, knowing that adventure may never end, merely change form, much like the king of Olympus himself. The first light of dawn creeps over the serene landscape, casting hues of soft pink and gentle orange across the rolling hills and glistening waters. In this tranquil scene, you gaze over a still lake, where a gentle swan serenely floats, gliding gracefully over the mirrored surface. Its feathers, pure white, reflect the blossoming sky, as if it carries dawn itself upon its back. The cool morning air kisses your skin, awakening your senses to the beauty of nature unfurling around you. Nearby, in a majestic palace overlooking these waters, a queen watches the swan intently. Her gaze follows its elegant movements, her heart entranced by the serenity it embodies. The queen Leda, by name, stands as a figure of grace and strength, her silken robes whispering against the stone floor as she leans against the balustrade. The swan, with a mysterious aura that almost suggests a purpose beyond simple beauty, approaches her, gliding ever closer to the shore. And here's a twist you may not expect. This swan is no ordinary bird. Within its seemingly frail frame beats a heart overwhelmed with divine intention. Historians tell us this swan was in fact Zeus, in disguise a god, known for his unpredictable transformations. You might think, how peculiar. But such is the nature of myths, swirling with a mix of wonder and skepticism. You won't witness a traditional romance story. Rather, this particular tale is wrapped in mystery and enchantment, making even the most fantastical seem almost believable. As the queen bends toward the water's edge, a soft smile gracing her lips, the tale unfurls into a sequence of events, both miraculous and fateful. And now, under the light of a subsequent moon, the queen, with the heart of a swan lingering in her memory, lays 2 eggs cloaked in mystical significance. Soon thereafter, the shells part, gently revealing twin children, whose destinies would echo through the annals of history. One of those children is a name you perhaps know, Helen of Troy. Yes, Helen, whose beauty is said to have launched 1,000 ships and sparked a decade-long war. You've heard the stories, no doubt. Here's an interesting tidbit from the Scrolls of Time. While many assume Helen was simply a pawn, in the games of gods and men, historians debate whether her story was instead a narrative woven to justify conflict in an era longing for legends. After all, every war needs its catalyst, and what might be more poetic than a face that inspires epic battles? The origins of Helen, born of an egg from a divine swan, remain a source of fascination and debate, yet let us not rush toward the fate of battles. For now picture the scene as the forest hums with life, and the tender wind rustles through the leaves carrying whispers of the unfolding drama. The queen cradles the twins, each child's breath soft, against the dawn, unaware of the tempest their lives will stir. As the narrative progresses, ponder the weight of destiny resting upon Helen's tiny shoulders. Even in infancy, her existence intertwines with whispers of future heroics. And you can't help but wonder, were her fortunes truly etched in the stars or crafted by the stories told around ancient hearths? For now we turn away from the bustling halls of prophecy and rest in the calm before the storm, where the fragrance of blooming flowers lingers in the air, and the gentle coo of the mother's lullaby sways in rhythm with the swan's silent vigil from the lake. And as we sail gently down the river of time, lulled by the soft narrative waves, the tapestry of fate weaves Helen's tale further into the hearts of those who will soon shape history itself. But before that future beckons, remember the stillness of this moment where it all began. So as the night deepens, and your heart remains caught in this mythic dance, breathe in the magic, and let its charms sing you into a peaceful slumber. As you brush your fingers against the cold, smooth surface of bronze, you might feel a connection with Danaë, the young woman who found herself sealed within these gleaming walls. Her father, King Acrisius of Argos, had received a troubling prophecy. Danaë's child would one day bring his downfall. In a bid to cheat fate, he locked his only daughter in this bronze tower, thinking no mortal man would ever set eyes on her again. But here's the twist. The gods of Mount Olympus were anything but mundane. Zeus, the king of the gods, spied Danaë from the heavens and was struck by her plight and beauty. And in a way that only a god could manage, he turned into a shimmering shower of golden rain. As raindrops of gold snuck through the minuscule chinks of the bronze tower, there was a promise of something extraordinary on the horizon. That golden rain, it wasn't just any rain. It said that Zeus in this exquisite form nestled close to Danaë. If you're squinting a bit at the logistics here, you're not alone. Scholars and myth enthusiasts alike have pondered how exactly it all came to be. But as with many Greek myths, we sometimes allow enchantment to speak louder than logistics. What we know next is rather enchanting itself. Danaë bore a son named Perseus, a name that would echo through the annals of Greek mythology. You, like Perseus, might never expect that such an epic destiny waits just outside your own walls. But while you ponder that, consider the real setting of Argos, an ancient city that bustled with culture and power, much more tangible than golden rain. Argos was a significant player in Mycenaean Greece, with scholars frequently exploring ruins to piece together its lavish past. In the months that followed the miraculous conception, Danaë nurtured her baby boy amid the gleam of bronze, and perhaps the whispers of winds outside imagining the life that could have been. But King Acrisius, still burdened by his fears and prophecies, panicked when he discovered the child. Could Perseus truly be his doom? Well, he wasn't about to wait and find out. Some say he was astonished by the sight of his grandson. Historians still debate whether there was a fleeting moment of grandfatherly love or not. In desperation and cunning, Acrisius devised a plan. He selected a wooden chest, a vessel to banish what he couldn't destroy. Into this chest he placed Danaë and little Perseus, sealing them against the salty waves of the vast sea. If you've ever felt that life tossed you into uncharted waters, you can imagine Danaë's terror and resolve as the chest was set adrift. Picture endless water, stretching in every direction, the stars above their only compass. But in a whimsical twist of fate, reserved only for myths, the chest found its way to the island of Seriphos. Here, a fisherman named Dictys discovered it washed ashore, the lid creaking open to reveal the exhausted Danaë protecting her infant son. Dictys, with a heart kind as the sea breeze that welcomed them, became their guardian, taking them in as family. Under his care, Perseus grew strong and learned the ways of the island and the sea. Perhaps he would stop to gaze at the horizon, not knowing the adventures awaiting him far across the waters. You might feel a kinship with Perseus here, wondering about your place in the world, or sensing a call you can't yet define. Meanwhile, the king of Seriphos, Polydectes, cast his eyes upon Danaë and desired to make her his queen. But Polydectes, unlike his gentle brother Dictys, was not so gracious. He contrived a plan, demanding a wedding gift so grand that only a hero could procure it, the head of Medusa, the Gorgon, whose gaze turned men to stone. Perseus, now a courageous youth, accepted the challenge, his first step on a journey that would become legend. With the gods, Hermes and Athena guiding him, they bestowed upon him winged sandals to soar the skies, a reflective shield, a sword that could cleave through stone, and Hades' helm of darkness to cloak him from sight. Before he set forth, Perseus accepted these gifts, each holding a promise of survival against odds almost unimaginable, much like the unexpected help we sometimes receive just when we need it most. Thus, you find yourself alongside Perseus as he takes to the air, the winds beneath his sandal-clad feet. Can you feel it? The thrill of adventure, the heartbeat of destiny. He flies across the tranquil sea, leaving behind the island of his upbringing, a place once just a refuge, now transformed into nothing more than a distant memory. And so, with everything in place, Perseus embarks on his quest, where each turn brings him closer to facing Medusa, the most dreaded of the Gorgons. But that's a tale for another night, as the sea calmly laps against Seriphos, and the stars return to their watchful silence. For now, let yourself drift into dreams alongside the waves, with the promise of stories yet to unfold, where courage and fate intertwine amid the whispers of the ancients. The early morning sun casts its gentle light across a lush meadow. Here, amidst the vibrant greens and vivid blooms, you find Europa, her fingers dancing through petals of wild flowers. Each bloom seems to sing the colors of spring, a tapestry of purples, yellows, and reds that sway in the soft breeze. You stroll over to her, feeling the dewy grass beneath your feet, as the world seems to whisper secrets in this quiet part of the earth. As Europa gathers her favorite ones, perhaps a daisy here or a poppy there, Her laughter mingles with the sounds of nature. However unknown to Europa, a pair of curious eyes follow her every move. Zeus, taking on a form as unexpected as it is majestic, has become a white bull. His eyes, deep like the oceans, exude a calmness and allure that is hard for anyone to resist. Surprisingly, the bull approaches without fear, offering Europa the trust of a gentle giant. You watch as she hesitates for just a moment before overcoming her initial surprise. She brushes her hand over his ivory coat, feeling a warmth that somehow seems to echo the sun's caress. Historians still debate whether this action was driven by pure curiosity or a divine knowing. But what follows is a twisting of expectations, the usual dance of mythologies. Europa meets his gaze, perhaps sensing the extraordinary energy humming beneath the surface of his stillness. In one fluid motion, she finds herself aloft, on the bull's back, not with a sense of trepidation, but with an exhilarating trust that defies logic. You almost chuckle at this. After all, how many people willingly ride off on a bull? Knowing it's the king of gods incognito, Zeus in all his majestic glory begins his journey. The gentle waves of the Mediterranean shimmer under the midday sun, parting softly as if honoring the bull's silent command. The sea air fills your lungs, bringing with it the scent of salt and adventure. Together you travel toward the horizon, the world itself unfurling in possibilities, as endless as the sea stretching before you. As the waves lap rhythmically against the bull's hooves, there's a peculiar calmness about this oceanic journey. Historians wonder, was this how the gods blessed the seas? With each ripple of water, you incite deeper contemplations, contemplating the mysteries of the world beneath. It makes you wonder if the start of the Minoan civilization lay balanced on such waves beneath the stars carried upon the back of legends. Time feels immaterial out here, and as Europa looks back toward the receding shore, she doesn't see a home that's lost, but a new one forming at the end of the voyage. The endless blue composes a symphony of tranquility, soothing away the past concerns and whispering tales of future wonders. You can almost sense the dawn of a world waiting to rise, the quiet sprawling of civilizations and the weaving of tales. The bull carries Europa onward, their horizon, emerging with the promise of stories untold, guiding them softly toward the shores of Crete. Here they'll touch down on the land that will soon host a flourishing culture, one that cherishes art, language, and architecture like few had seen before. As Crete's outline sharpens against the soft light of dawn, you find yourself embracing the comforting notion that everything here happens for a purpose, an adventurous beginning to an era that will nurture the roots of history itself. Together, Europa and her steadfast companion continue forth amidst a realm of patterns, nearly poetic, silently pulling the threads of what would become a vibrant tapestry, Minoan civilization, unfurling at its dawn. Ganymede was considered the most beautiful mortal boy in the realm of mortals, his features resembling those of a divine being. You find yourself in a world where beauty such as his doesn't go unnoticed, especially by the gods. Walking among the aromatic fields of Troy, You sense the warmth of the sun shimmer around you, casting golden light on the landscape, reminiscent of a place straight out of a myth. As you wander through these enchanting surroundings, a shadow falls over you, triggering a peculiar sense of awe and unease. Here, in the midst of serenity, a mighty eagle soars above with majesty and intent, its wings spanning wide, like the canopy of a great tree. This is no ordinary eagle. It glides with the power of the ancient winds under its wings. The air tingles with divine presence. There's a story about this eagle shared in whispered tones that it's actually Zeus himself in disguise. Zeus, with his penchant for transformation and fondness for beautiful mortals, has often descended from Olympus in various forms. As you walk the ground underfoot, feels like a soft carpet stretching before each step as you ponder the immortal realm's attraction to human beauty. In the distance, you spot Ganymede, tending his flocks amid the rolling hills. The landscape is serene, imbued with the hues of early twilight, a perfect backdrop for what is about to unfold. Historians have long debated whether it was his mortal charms or something more that caught the king of the gods' eye that day. Suddenly the eagle veers downwards with grace and strength, and with a swift commanding motion it swoops towards Ganymede. You stand frozen, a part of a timeless tableau, witnessing as the eagle's talons gently envelop the youth, lifting him skyward. In this unbroken moment there is no panic or cry, only an unspoken understanding between a god and a special mortal. The eagle ascends into the heavens, leaving behind the rolling fields, the sheep still grazing lazily, oblivious to the divine intervention. The story of Ganymede tells not only of beauty, but the ancient customs of companionship among the gods, one perhaps not known to mortals like you. As you imagine the journey high above, where the air becomes thin and the world drops away, the vision of Ganymede transitioning from mortal to divine companion resonates with an unusual sense of tranquility. Amongst the great details of this tale, one wonders about the very fabric of fate and whether Ganymede accepted this chance with the reverence attributed to destinies shaped by the gods. You contemplate how the gods' domain adjusts to accept new companions, wine pourers, just as Ganymede becomes, upon reaching Olympus, pouring nectar for the gods in an unending celebration. Zeus's affection for Ganymede ensured he was brought into the opulent halls of Olympus, where Ganymede was to serve eternally. But this was no ordinary servitude. It was a revered position, a testament to the honor of his beauty and presence. There the gods gathered, surrounded by ethereal clouds and cosmic serenity, savoring the gifts of ambrosia and nectar. In the majestic court, Ganymede becomes a beloved figure, an eternal youth among immortals. You can almost feel the cool marble under your bare feet as you imagine walking through the vast halls of Olympus, places revered in stories across the ages. Yet there's a soft lament, for with immortality comes a certain distance from the mortal heart you once cherished. Through the haze of time, the tale of Ganymede, like many, has evolved with nuances debated among scholars. Was his elevation to divine status a benevolent gesture or a desire driven by divine caprices? Historians still flirt with interpretations distinguishing between myth and poetic embellishments. Now these stories woven into the very fabric of our myths, when the line between man and God was blurred, are where you find Ganymede. His life transformed into legend continues to ripple through the annals of time, inspiring artists and poets who capture his youth and vibrancy in songs and sculptures. Tonight, under the vast canopy of the sky, dotted with stars, like the ones you imagine leading Zeus to his chosen companion, let the soothing whispers of ancient legends guide you to a place of gentle rest. Close your eyes and let the story drift, carried like Ganymede upon the wings of an eagle, soaring into realms of dreams and possibilities. As you settle down, remember the eternal roles we all play in our stories, whether told by the flickering light of a flame or whispered by a gentle breeze through the trees. Embrace the serenity of the moment as each breath softens into a rhythm, like the gentle lapping of waves upon an ancient shore. The tale of Ganymede gracefully fades, leaving you with a simple truth. All stories, much like life, are part of an ever-flowing stream, guiding you ever closer to the peaceful horizons of sleep. Zeus, the ruler of the Greek gods, was notorious for his shape-shifting and cunning ways. You find yourself wandering in a mythic forest at the break of dawn, the morning mist weaving around you like a ghostly embrace. Each step echoes with stories untold, and it just so happens that tonight you're about to dive into one such tale. Zeus had set his eyes on Callisto, a nymph known for her beauty and her unwavering loyalty to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. The nymph often roamed through the forest with Artemis, her heart attuned to the wild rhythms of nature. You probably won't survive this story without wondering about the mischief of the gods and the whimsical ways they interfere with mortal lives. Now Zeus was well aware of Callisto's loyalty and knew he had to play his cards carefully. After all, approaching her in his usual godly form could ruin everything. So he decided on a drastic yet creatively mischievous plan. He disguised himself as none other than Artemis herself, a decision that holds echoes in the constellations to this day. Before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Are you tuning in from a cozy nook or a distant time zone? Let me know where you are and what time it is there. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. With the confidence only a god could manage, Zeus, disguised as Artemis, approached Callisto in the depths of the forest. The bright light filtering through the canopy danced over their paths. Callisto, upon seeing who she believed was her cherished goddess, felt her heart lift with joy. A day spent in the presence of Artemis was a day well spent, she thought. Zeus, wearing the guise of Artemis, flawlessly greeted Callisto with the warmth and familiarity of the goddess. Here the story takes a curious turn. Historians still debate whether Callisto ever noticed the subtle differences in mannerisms, or if Zeus's disguise was truly seamless. But at that moment, any suspicion she might have had was swept away by the allure of being in the presence of her idol. The cunning of Zeus led them deeper into the woods, away from prying eyes and ears. As they walked, the discussion turned lively with Zeus, adeptly mimicking Artemis's anecdotes about their adventures, her triumphs against mystical creatures, and the art of archery. Amid their laughter and shared stories, a particularly magical rabbit appeared, much to Callisto's delight. This was a known trickster of the forest, often conjured by Artemis during their playful times, and Zeus used it to perfection. Time moved differently. In these enchanted moments, a blissful illusion settling over Callisto as they spent the day together. But alas, the morning faded, and Callisto found herself basking in the afterglow of their encounter, unaware of the true identity of her charming companion. As the story unfolds, one surprising detail arises. The forest, known for its mysterious nature, seemed complicit in the deception. Branches bent just right, shadows danced in tandem with Zeus's whims, as if the entire realm conspired to aid him. It makes one wonder, was the forest enchanted, or did Zeus's power extend even further than mortal tales suggest? Days turned to weeks, and soon the consequences of Zeus's deceit became apparent. Callisto's encounters with the real Artemis grew strained. Suspicions arose, like the first chill signs of autumn. An undeniable rift formed, leaving Callisto caught between her beloved goddess and the one she unwittingly trusted. Even as celestial beings, the gods found themselves embroiled in very human emotions. The betrayal unfurled like a tragic play, and when the truth finally emerged, the heavens themselves seemed to weep for Callisto. Artemis, hurt by the betrayal but moved by her inability to act against her own, cast Callisto out, not with rage, but with a deep, mournful regret. It's said that Zeus, realizing his trickery had come undone, watched from Olympus with a mixture of triumph and melancholy. He had won something and lost much more. Yet it wasn't just his tale of mastery and mischief to tell, but one that extended beyond to the constellations twinkling above. In later tales, you'll come to know how Callisto was transformed into a celestial being, a constellation that still graces the sky. You can trace its stars on a clear night if you know where to look. The story captivates like the lull of a gentle stream, revealing a tapestry woven with actions both unthinkable and profound. Just a whisper across the cosmos, remains of their story, like an echo across time, where gods mingled with mortals, changing their fates forever. As your thoughts drift with dreams swirling like endless galaxies, remember that the stars remember. They hold every tale, every whisper, and every forgotten moment. In this gentle unraveling of myth, the world slows to the pace of a lullaby. You find your breath matching the rhythm of the universe, the storytelling easing from the masquerade drama into the soft embrace of comfort and warmth. The cadence of the narrative slows, ushering you toward a restful slumber as each word transforms into a soft murmur. The story has woven its spell tenderly, guiding you into the embrace of night's serenity. A gentle assurance permeates the air, a promise that all stories, both great and small, mingle in the dance of stars above. Drift lightly on the cloud of myth and mystery, your own tales gently wrapping around you like a protective cocoon as you become one with the stillness. The shadows of the tale fade, leaving only tranquility and wonder as you, the listener, float into the comforting call of sleep. The stars will continue their silent watch, and you intertwined with the cosmos will dream on. There's a whisper among the stars tonight, a hint of magic that could only be described as the work of gods. You find yourself in ancient Greece, where the heavens are alive and full of intrigue. As the skies blush with the soft hues of twilight, you drift alongside a most peculiar scene, a palace in the city of Thebes, where a story as timeless as the stars begins to unfold. In the gentle glow of evening candles, Alcmene, a beautiful and wise woman, goes about her home. You watch as she prepares to welcome someone she has long awaited. She is the wife of Amphitryon, a celebrated warrior currently away in battle. Now you'd think waiting for word from a war front would be enough, but in this world it's never that simple. Alcmene's heart carries the weight of hope, mingled with an unexpected touch of divine mischief. Within the high reaches of Mount Olympus, Zeus, the king of the gods, gazes down through the veil of clouds, his interest piqued by the virtuous Alcmene. This is where the gods come into play. They're often tangled in the lives of mortals in ways you might find unpredictable. Zeus, with a twinkle of mischief in his eyes, weaves a plan adopting the guise of Amphitryon. As you can imagine, impersonating a human, let alone someone's spouse, is no small feat. But Zeus is nothing if not resourceful, with just a hint of irresponsible flair. So as the soft, warm air of night caresses the landscape and the familiar sounds of night creatures fill the silence, Zeus descends. He carries an illusion so convincing that even Alcmene is deceived. Now you might question whether she truly believed it without doubt. But historians still debate whether godly glamour could truly cloud human judgment, so entirely a detail lost in the mist of myth and time. Through the palace doors steps Zeus, cloaked in Amphitryon's form. He greets Alcmene with the ease of a beloved husband returned and is received with joy. You observe, caught between admiration and curiosity. Imagine the moment Zeus, supremely powerful, yet indulging in such human mischief, and Alcmene, joyful and unsuspecting, welcoming him with warmth. Amid the unfolding night, the stars seem to listen in on their conversation, twinkling with curiosity. Together, Zeus and Alcmene share stories, their voices carrying quietly through the halls. Her laughter, sweet and genuine, paints an image of serenity and reunion. This is no ordinary night, though, and you sense the weight of destiny in the air. As dawn approaches, the world holds its breath. It is from this divine masquerade that something incredible emerges. Hercules, a child, destined for grand tales and legendary feats. It's a little like planting the seed of a story that will take centuries to unfold, a story full of heroism and adventure. In your mind's eye, you trace the first light of day, touching the land, bringing with it the promise of new beginnings, even as the gods quietly retreat back to their celestial thrones. It's those small moments, the divine mingling with the mundane, where the most mythical tales are born. The gods, inscrutable and whimsical, have set their plans into motion, leaving you pondering the ways in which they influence the world, often without a sound. You've witnessed the beginning of a legendary tale, and like the stars above, the story will continue to shine brightly through time, capturing the imagination of all who hear it. As the day breaks, your journey through this quiet myth draws to a gentle pause. But the night will soon call again, with more tales of ancient glories and whispered secrets under the moonlit skies. You slowly retreat from the scene, carrying with you the sense of wonder that only the threads of myth spun by gods could weave. You close your eyes, the lull of dusk and dawn playing softly as you drift toward a gentle sleep. For tonight the ancient tales have only begun, leaving behind the gentle hum of a story just taking flight. Imagine yourself as Semele, a mortal woman, favored by Zeus. As whispers in the halls of mythology go, the mighty Zeus often fell for the beauty and charm of mortal women, but Semele found a special place in his heart. The tale unfolds on a particularly serene afternoon, where the gentle rustle of olive trees gives way to echoes of a world far bigger than your own. Zeus ever, the powerful deity, appeared disguised to Semele, perpetuating the facade that he too was a mere mortal. But curiosity, that ever-persistent companion, followed Semele like her own shadow. Despite the serene setting, a lingering question buzzed in the back of her mind. What did it mean to be loved by Zeus? To see him not cloaked in the guise of normalcy, but in the full splendor of his divine power. Alas, curiosity in the realm of gods can be both a gift and a curse. Historians still debate whether this was all orchestrated by Hera, Zeus's wife, who was no stranger to the intrigues of Olympus. Enraged by her husband's infidelities, she might have fueled Semele's desire by whispering in her ear, inciting her to demand proof of Zeus's divinity. It's in the nature of these stories you see where the motivations linger like shadows just beyond the campfire's light. And so one fateful evening, as the horizon painted itself with the reds and golds of a setting sun, Semele asked Zeus to reveal himself in his true form. A simple enough request for a man in love, or so it might seem. But Zeus in his heart shuddered at the thought. To comply was to unravel the very fabric of the mortal world. Yet bound by the oaths that even gods cannot break, he agreed. The sky darkened as Zeus prepared to reveal his true self. The world held its breath, and for a moment the air became thick with anticipation like the silence before a storm. In a flash, a great light engulfed everything brighter than 1,000 stars born all at once. Zeus revealed himself in all his divine glory, and the world trembled under the weight of his power. Poor Semele, through her mortal eyes, glimpsed what few have lived to describe. She saw the glimmering visage of a thunder god, and in that moment, the reality of the gods collided with her own human frailty. One muses that there was never really a chance for a mortal to withstand such pure, unfiltered power. All reason melted away in the intense heat of divine radiance. And just like that, she dissolved, absorbed, back into the cosmos from which all life springs, a gentle reminder that the desires of humans and the powers of gods are not easily reconciled. Zeus, stricken with grief, gathered what he could of Semele and preserved her spirit, hiding it within himself. A detail often missed is how he nurtured it until their unborn child, Dionysus, was ready to step into the world. Yes, the birth of Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry, brings this tale full circle, a living testament to the union of mortal desire and divine consequence. He emerged having absorbed the spark of his mother and father, embodying the duality of mirth as much as tragedy. And though Semele had been consumed by her request, her legacy lived on in the god that would forever walk the line between two worlds, often gleefully towing the edge of chaos and celebration. As you reflect on the whims and warnings of this ancient narrative, let the echoes of thunder be a gentle lullaby, guiding you back to the comforts of your own reality. Here in the safe cocoon of your space, let the night's calm embrace you. Light sarcasm and curiosity have woven this tale as age-old questions meander without demanding answers. The rain, perhaps a tribute from Zeus himself, might patter gently against your window, reminding you of the world that sleeps and awakens with each story told. You too embody a dual nature, a dreamer walking quietly through myths to the quiet place where dreams live. There's something reassuring about the mysteries that remain just waiting for another night to unfold their secrets again. As the narrative winds down, let your breathing grow slow and rhythmic, mirroring the gentle waves of a sea, untouched by storm. Imagine the stars above as benevolent watchers, distant yet ever present, as you chart the course of your dreams tonight. Beyond the tales of gods, it's the peaceful, unassuming moments that draw close, lulling you into the serenity of sleep. Drift comfortably now, letting the warmth of your bed envelop you like a soft cloud beneath the greater sky, knowing that stories are shared, whispers connecting past and present. Soon your consciousness will wane, surrendering happily to the embrace of slumber. Imagine a canvas of divine dreams, painted with gentle strokes of myth, and history alike all yours to explore in the once desired glow of the thunder god's domain. And as the final brush strokes of wakefulness fade, remember that the journey you walk tonight is but one of many, an ancient dance of light, shadow, and story, waiting to unfurl in your dreams until dawn calls you back to the world anew. Zeus, the mighty king of gods, never needed much to pull off one of his many escapades. You could imagine him lounging atop Mount Olympus, effortlessly conjuring a miasma of clouds with a mere flick of his wrist, then disguising himself with a nonchalant swirl of fog. The mortals below and even the gods themselves would look skyward, confusion etched on their faces, unable to discern the familiar presence just beyond their reach. As you walk with him through this mythological landscape, you'll come to understand that Zeus had perfected the art of being untraceably enigmatic. It's a wonder, really, just how versatile a simple cloud could be in the hands of such an artistic deity. Zeus often found himself at the heart of Greek mythology's grand dramas, yet this, his quiet mastery over the ordinary, often went unnoticed. Untraceable, he would wander the earth, witnessing firsthand the lives of mortals, sometimes even altering them, but always with a twist that left no one the wiser. Historians still debate whether Zeus's preference for such quiet maneuvers suggested a tactical brilliance or just an amusement at the naivety of gods and mortals alike. One evening, as you observe Zeus at work, you find yourself taken aback by an unusual detail: how often his cunning interventions were described as orchestrated in silence. Indeed, while storms and lightning defined his grandeur, it was the quiet moments that revealed his true genius. You watch a farmer, oblivious to the divine presence continuing with his harvest, under a perfect sky suddenly clouded over. This so-called Zeus effect, much like any statistician's anomaly, cleverly masked his playful interferences. Those involved simply went about their day, suspecting perhaps a strange coincidence, but never an immortal hand. Intrigues you might unearth in mythology are filled with grand tapestries of heroes, titans, and climactic battles. Here, however, you witness a simpler narrative of influence, an authoritative shell game played masterfully just beneath a shroud of mist. Imagine now the cacophony atop Olympus as gods bickered, plotted, and feigned intentions for dominance and power. Yet amidst all that chaos, Zeus found sanctuary in his subtle craft. The fog was his companion, intangible, yet a boundary-defying presence, a symbol of obscurity and omniscience rolled into one. This was no ordinary act of pragmatism. In the realms of the divine simplicity was Zeus's own form of art. Yet this time of restful invisibility for him sets the stage for broader cosmic plots, unfolding at the seams of human understanding. Zeus's retreat into transparency is not merely a tale of escapism, but a testament unfolding toward unique historical fact, the intriguing manner in which ancient Greeks perceived their gods as extensions of the natural environment. The renowned philosopher Xenophanes contended several centuries ago that humans attribute features of nature to gods. Does that suggest Zeus's affinity for the weather was nothing more than a magnified projection of human belief instilling godlike qualities to nature's moving patterns? A question left unanswered amid clouds of mystery and time. Step now into your warm cocoon of a bedtime story, where every gray cloud harboring Zeus's smile unwittingly continues, whispering the secrets of old. As you approach the dreamscape, it is easy to comprehend why mortals might revere, but also fear such an obscure deity, mirroring unknowable fate itself. Like the calm after passing rainfall, there is clarity, yet also an underlying mystery of where the drops might have fallen, or where his gaze might next brush unseen. On this misty escapade, you see the linear time of this world crinkle and contract, suggesting that life, like Zeus's disguise, is often shaped by the hidden motions left unnoticed. It lulls you into serenity, contemplating that whatever obscure tool he may choose, Zeus embodies a glimpse into understanding stealth. Like a gentle breeze, passing quiet, yet undeniably powerful, his stories speak of interconnectedness and the comfort found in what cannot precisely be explained, the essence of mystery wrapped in vapor-like influence. Surely as you drift into the enveloping fog of sleep, even you can appreciate a good bit of mythological mischief now and then. You find yourself wandering through a landscape both familiar and strange. This place exists in the realm of myth, where gods walk and the improbable flows into the everyday life of mortals. Here, stories of grand battles and epic loves are etched into the walls of swirling mist that surrounds you. Yet tonight's tale is curiously different, one that lands somewhere between the sublime and the ridiculous. Imagine for a moment that you've taken on an odd role, like finding yourself in the middle of this mythological theater as the unwitting observer. You stand on the craggy shores of the river Styx, shrouded in the silver glow of the moon. This mythical river, often a backdrop for tales of heroism or tragedy, hums with the echoes of stories past. But on this particular night, as its currents flow lazily, you sense a less dramatic episode is about to unfold. Enter Zeus, renowned king of the gods, known for his thunderbolts and penchant for altering his guise. You'll recall tales of the swan bull and even an eagle. But who would have thought the god of the sky would stoop to such comedic levels as becoming a goose? Yet here he is, wobbling awkwardly on webbed feet, honking plaintively, much to your bemusement. Historians still debate whether this avian transformation was by choice or a divine trick played by others tired of his usual antics. Perhaps it was Hera, playfully setting her husband on a different path. Or maybe Poseidon, tired of sharing the limelight, nudged this transformation into being. Whatever the cause, the result is a spectacle, an all-powerful being reduced to feathered disarray. During this peculiar episode, it seems Zeus's attempts at communication fall as flat as the echoes bouncing off the Styx. Imagine a scene where the mighty ruler tries to exercise his usual grandeur, only to be met with bewilderment by mortals, who, expecting thunder, hear only a soft honking. It's comical, isn't it? Gods and mortals alike, unsure of how to react to this less than menacing form. One peculiar fact emerges. Despite the transformation, Zeus retains his divine mind. Juggling the lesser-known goose instincts with his godly consciousness must have been a sight to behold. Sunsets would find him frustratingly clumsy at flight, only to recall ancient wisdom and glide with grace mere moments later. It's an odd juxtaposition, a disruption in the natural order, not to mention a chuckle-worthy tale to tell around an Olympian dinner table. As days soar into nights practically overnight, Zeus becomes something of a local curiosity. His honks echo ancient tongues, leaving mortals in playful mystery. Onlookers past and present wondered at the anomaly of prophecy. A goose prodded by ancient airs and often misread as foretelling doom or love, much like Cassandra, speaking plainly and without ambiguity, but rarely being understood. And all this whimsy is punctuated by the symbiotic relationship developed with Hermes. Now Hermes, you remember him, swift-footed messenger and trickster of Olympus, finds endless amusement in teaching Zeus the art of navigating mortal whims and waters as a goose. With half smirks and twinkling eyes, he devises a relay race among the gods, with Zeus simply having to obey goose physics as Hermes cheers from above. Your journey through this myth finds a pause at a feast convened by Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry, known for legendary bacchanals that blur the lines of reality, holds an Olympian party like no other. And guess who stumbles upon the scene but our feathered friend Zeus, much to the delight and amusement of the merry assembly. Here, in a reversal of fortunes that only playwriters like Aristophanes could dream, the mightiest Olympian becomes the evening's light-hearted entertainer, much like when kings disguised might find resonance among the jesters. Eventually, the tale nudges you gently into an exploration of truth, veiled in humor, Here's an interesting point. Quite like ancient vases painted with scenes of victory or mourning, this story of Zeus's foul form exists in whispers, gathered by campfires or between lines of epic poetry long forgotten. Legends, you realize, are as much about folly as they are about grandeur, layering the immortal with the surprisingly mortal nuances of accidental comedy. As he circles the large starlit sky again and again, you consider how stories that may seem trivial at first glance dwell at the heart of mythic tradition, offering quiet reflections on power, purpose, and the vulnerability hidden under the guise. When Zeus finally peels back this foul mask and retakes his throne on Olympus, a profound calm settles the sort emanating from understanding and laughter shared across realms. In the end, Zeus finds grace in his quirkiness, learning that even amidst celestial power, a little humility engenders harmony, serendipity, and flight over his grand designs. As you step back from this whimsical chapter, spun by Greek fate, not crashed by tempest or folly, you find peace, akin to the still waters beneath the moonlit blanket of the Styx. The tale lulls you toward the ancient rhythm of rest. You perceive strands of myth whispering through the winds as legends guide you gently into a space of dreams. Pause now, feeling the warmth within this softly cradled history. Let each shadowy turn bring you solace as the darkness yields dreams to your waking soul, subsiding into peaceful breath. Zeus, the almighty ruler of Mount Olympus, always had a peculiar approach to matters of affection. You find yourself nestled in the vivid world of ancient myths, where gods and mortals walked hand in hand, or sometimes slithered, much like Zeus did on one curious occasion. The late evening sky cradles your imagination as you picture Zeus grand and divine, deciding that his usual towering form wasn't going to cut it. He was fixated, as he frequently was, with a new target of affection, Gaia, the Earth Mother herself. You might wonder if anyone ever gave Zeus a lesson in subtlety, given his flamboyant history. Yet here he was opting for the serpentine route. Historians still debate whether Zeus's transformation into a snake was an inspired act of cunning or simply an audacious attempt at disguise. With his mind made up, he slithered across the meandering landscapes crafted by Gaia's own hands. Now, we must acknowledge one thing about snakes. They're not the most popular choice for winning hearts. However, Zeus was not one to adhere to conventional wisdom. As cunning and charming, perhaps, as he anticipated himself to be, the scene that unfolded is a testament to divine hubris, perhaps amusing if it weren't quite so unnerving for those around. The earth herself, with her ability to cradle life gently or unleash nature's raw power, was not easily swayed. According to whispers carried through generations, Gaia wasn't exactly smitten by the pretentious gesture. You see, the ancients believed that natural phenomena often mirrored divine moods. In this case, it was said that Gaia expressed her disdain through a series of quakes, each tremor an unspoken no, resonating through valleys and oceans. You might imagine the bemused reactions of mortals as the ground shifted beneath their feet, unwitting witnesses to Zeus's folly. One particular historical fact for your thoughts in ancient Greek lore: snakes were indeed sacred creatures often associated with healing and rebirth. They slithered in the temples of Asclepius, the god of medicine. Perhaps Zeus hoped this association might work in his favor, painting himself not as the threat, but as a creature of renewal and new beginnings. It was a nice thought, to be fair, though terribly misguided when the recipient of the gesture is the very earth you stand upon. Now Gaia's response to Zeus, though indirect, appeared to leave the other Olympians chuckling at his expense. The council of gods might forgive divine misdemeanors, because let's face it, who among them didn't have their laundry list of dubious escapades? Yet this was the story whispered among the rustling olive trees, capturing the curiosity of storytellers, philosophers, and historians alike. For a moment, pause and think about the unusual fervor these gods summoned in their quests. Zeus, despite his failures, was relentless, a quality both admirable and exasperating. The sheer audacity to approach Gaia in such form speaks volumes. It tells tales not just of supernatural abilities, but of a certain vulnerability masked behind layers of omnipotence. The story serves as a reminder, albeit in a mythic frame, that even the divine had to navigate the complex dance of ego and desire, missteps and makeovers. As you find yourself sinking further into the rhythm of the tale, there's comfort in its familiarity. Stories like these have been shared through voices born of starlit nights and flickering candle flames, guiding your imagination across the timeless landscapes of mythology. It feels grounding somehow, knowing that even gods like Zeus had to work through the same somewhat comedic blunders of love, just with a bit more seismic flair. And so as you settle deeper into this narrative, let the ancient echoes lull you into a sense of wonderment and curiosity. From the peaks of Olympus to the whispers of the earth below, this is but a chapter in the endless saga of gods and mortals, narrated through ages of curiosity, amusement, and a dash of incredulity. The tapestry of these tales remains unfinished, woven into the night's serene embrace, ready to accompany your journey into dreams. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, feel free to drop your location and local time in the comments. I'm genuinely intrigued by where our nightly travels reach. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your journey through this ethereal landscape leads you to a man on the brink of death. His breaths are shallow, a stark contrast to the vibrant life surrounding him. This man, you learn, is no mere mortal, but one whose fate will shift the course of history. Above, the ever-watchful Zeus observes, as gods often do, cradling the weight of the world in his thoughts. A sudden resolve stirs within him, a notion to save this man by embracing the humble, forgotten life of an ant. Strange, you might think, or maybe exactly what you'd expect from a god known for both whimsy and wisdom. As Zeus morphs into an ant, you're reminded that the gods often played with the boundaries of nature. Zeus was known for shape-shifting, a trick rarely attempted by mortals. So down he goes into the damp earth, leaving behind the thunderous grandeur for the quiet persistence of a tiny creature. Historians still debate whether it was noon or twilight, when this transformation occurred, a testament to the blurred lines of time where gods are concerned. The sound around you softens, leaving room for your imagination to fill in the gaps with subtle anticipation. And there, as Zeus in ant form scrambles over pebbles and flowers, your understanding of strength begins to shift, adapting to a world viewed from the fraction of a centimeter off the ground. There's something slightly amusing about it. Even Zeus, the sky god, now faced with the peril of raindrops, far larger than his current form. But isn't that life's abiding wonder? That in every mighty force there's an unexpected tenderness. The ants, unknowingly tasked with harboring a deity, work tirelessly to save the faltering man. They weave beneath him whispering myths of legacies yet to come, cradling him in a bed of their unity and dedication. It's known that in the annals of history, entire civilizations have thrived on sheer willpower and cooperation, much like our group of little heroes. Imagine Athens with its own democratic experiments inspired by the ants' collective work ethic. This moment, this union of man and ant under the ever-watchful eye of Olympus nurtures the spark of something greater than itself. At times it may seem bizarre. What could Zeus, a god often known for his exuberant displays of strength and theatrics, hope to achieve as an ant? Yet you recall Zeus's many disguises, a bull, a swan, all for purposes known only to him and the deep enigmatic lore of ancient Greece. Now whispers of doubt join the chorus of moving earth. Did Zeus choose this form as a gentle reflection on life's modest roots? Or was it yet another puzzle woven into the legends passed down through time? No matter the questions, Zeus's intentions bear fruit, for the dying man stirs. His breath warms the earth as life returns faint at first, much like the morning light seeping through night's hold. You're enveloped in suspense, your heart quickening, as the anticipation of what's next becomes palpable. Ancient tales hint that this man, saved from the brink by gods and ants, would seed a line of warriors brave and resilient, yet born not from brute strength, but from the quiet might of persistence. Slowly but surely, as the sun dips beneath the horizon, the warmth around you changes. In the quiet flutter of an ant's journey, Zeus watches his plan unfold the dawn of a new era, gently illuminating what lay ahead. The whispers of the Myrmidons, an army destined to follow Achilles into history's grand battles, can almost be heard in those soft evening winds. Born from the grace of a god's intervention and from the humble might of Earth's tiniest architects, they would stand ready, strong like the stone of ancient temples, determined as the tides that kissed the golden shores of Greece. In a paradox of grandeur and simplicity, you realize that life is like this story, wrapped in layers of softness, waiting to lull us into dreams of possibility. As the world slowly eases itself back into slumber, you know the essence of what it means to watch over someone, even when wielding the power of a god. The stars blink knowingly as the night stretches on, and you feel the harmony in this tale, a gentle drawing of history interwoven with myth. Each moment, every heartbeat of the earth sings a lullaby that guides you quietly into restful sleep. Zeus gazed down from the lofty peaks of Olympus' eyes, shimmering with the light of curiosity and mischief. He often pondered the nature of mortals, those fleeting sparks in the vast expanse of eternity. You feel the soft hum of ancient winds as the god of thunder, in a moment of whimsy, decides to test the souls of humanity. Disguised as a traveler, a ruse so perfectly woven that it said Hermes himself couldn't see through it, Zeus wanders down to the world below. This evening you find yourself among the villagers' unwitting actors in a divine drama. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of olive groves and wild thyme that flourish in the fields around you. Along the cobbled path, a stranger approaches. He is cloaked in a simple mantle, a striking yet unassuming figure dust-covered from the road. You might offer him bread and a place to rest his weary feet, or perhaps you turn him away, suspicion stirred by his enigmatic presence. In ancient Greece, such decisions were fraught with consequence. Zeus loved these encounters. A mortal's hospitality was to him the truest test of character. In a quaint village nestled against rolling hills, tales of deities mingling with the people were told in the glow of the hearth. These stories carried a warning. Sometimes the gods walked among humans to see if kindness thrived in their hearts. The consequences for the unkind could be dire. Zeus had a penchant for poetic justice. Those who turned their backs on the stranger might find themselves as cold and immobile as the stones that marked the ancient roads. Historians still debate whether these petrifications were merely myths or divine acts lost to time. Yet the stories remain stones that stand seemingly out of place, believed to be the remnants of those who failed Zeus's test, but for the hospitable rewards, varied as widely as the stars. A bountiful harvest bestowed upon barren fields, perhaps, or the birth of a long-desired child. You imagine the whispered tales, mothers telling sons and daughters of how great-great-grandmother once hosted a mysterious traveler, only to find their fortunes changing the next day. As the clouds drift across a darkening sky, you ponder the ramifications of such divine encounters. Perhaps they serve as a reminder that compassion and generosity were always valued by the ancient Greeks. The sacred notions of xenia, an indomitable code of hospitality, pervaded Greek society, binding even kings and warriors to its principles. On this journey, Zeus strolled through quiet villages, his expectations never fully revealed. Some say he could hear the sincerity in one's voice, as clear as the chorus of cicadas in the evening air. Still, with each visit, there was unpredictability, a stranger bearing gifts, or a stern teacher inducing a lesson of humility. Picture, if you will, the mysterious traveler stepping into a small inn, eyes glinting with the divine spark, despite the weary guise. The innkeeper, although brusque at first, feels a strange pull to offer him the finest room. As gratitude fills the air, the hearth's fire flickers brighter, whispering promises of prosperous days ahead. On another occasion, an aloof merchant might turn him away, preoccupied with accounts and goods. Once the traveler disappears down the road, It's said the very air grows chill, the shadows lengthening ominously. Within days the merchant would find his fortunes inexplicably reversed. The gods' gentle yet firm reminder that every action has its echoes. Such stories stirred reflection, a gentle chiding, laced with the soft irony that threads through the world's stories. Even now, as you listen, the tale weaves through the fabric of destiny and free will where kindness can alter the course of history for the better. Echoes of such myths have long resonated, seen in the foundations of cities older than memory, marked with symbols of protection and prosperity. It's a narrative repeated in quiet whispers, each time a generous hand is extended to a stranger. Deep in thought, you imagine what decision you might make if such a traveler appeared on your doorstep. Would you see the divine hidden in the mundane? It's a question asked since time immemorial, engaging each person under the blanket of stars that cloak the silent night. As twilight gives way to night and the echoes of the gods' tales grow faint, you drift into a gentle lull, thinking of Zeus on his wander down moonlit pathways, forever seeking the warmth of human kindness. Perhaps, as you surrender to the soft embrace of sleep, Zeus looks in your direction, a small smile forming at the corner of his mouth, satisfied that some threads of his story will never fade. And so, you let the dreams sweep in like waves on a distant shore, letting go of stories heavy and light as the world outside slows to the respectful hush of night, inviting you to a peaceful rest suffused with the ancient promise of the gods above. No matter where you are in your evening, you find yourself gently drifting into the mythical world of ancient Greece. Your mind's eye is drawn to the majestic Mount Olympus, shrouded in mist and mystery, where the whispers of the gods flutter like leaves in a gentle breeze. There, high among the clouds, the king of the gods, Zeus, was known for his rather adventurous escapades, often involving remarkable, though questionable, transformations. Zeus, ever the grand strategist, donned countless disguises to pursue his desires: a shimmering cloud, a graceful swan, or a formidable bull among them. Each transformation allowed him to weave his way through mortal realms with the precision of a needle threading silk. Yet as cunning as Zeus was, his wife Hera, the queen of the gods, was not easily fooled nor placated. Though portrayed with a calm composure, Hera's watchful eye never missed a beat. Her patience was tested time and again, her ire simmering beneath the surface like a dormant volcano just waiting for its moment. The irony wasn't lost on those who knew the tales well. The cleverness of Zeus was matched only by Hera's tenacity. Even tonight, in your retelling of this ancient story, you can almost hear the rustle of her robes echoing through the marbled halls of Olympus as she caught a whiff of Zeus's latest guise. Scholars today still passionately discuss the extent of Hera's divine powers. Was it mere intuition, a keen mind, or perhaps some secret surveillance that kept her informed of Zeus's transformations? The debate remains lively. Yet despite her anger, Hera's responses were woven with a tapestry of both wit and wrath. She never let it slide, not without crafting an equally cunning and sometimes mischievous retaliation, like the time when Zeus as a swan wooed the lovely Leda, or so the story goes. Hera's reaction was not merely one of jealousy, but of vibrant creativity, exacting her own form of divine justice. Hera's determination remains a talking point among historians and myth enthusiasts alike. While Zeus's antics often took the center stage, it was Hera's reactions that completed the theater of Olympian drama. Curiously enough, their tumultuous yet enduring marriage served as a tapestry of lessons for both gods and humans, illustrating complex dynamics that transcended the celestial and the earthly realms. As you find yourself nestled in the soft warmth of your bed, perhaps the gentle chirping of crickets just outside your window provides a fitting backdrop to the unfolding tale. The ancient world comes alive with each passing sentence painting images of a divine couple locked in a celestial dance, as old as time itself. You can see Hera's face now, serene yet firm, as she stands before Zeus, who is sheepishly reverting from his latest caper. Her eyes holding secrets of the skies, her voice steady like a river. Questions posed not in anger, but with a knowing glance that cuts through his defenses as if they were missed. Yet the beauty of these old tales lies not just in the actions, but in the emotions underpinning them. Unlike the mortals who filled the world below, these gods felt no need for hiding beneath smiles or pleasantries. Their emotions rang clear, like a bell in the stillness of a morning mist, each note resonating throughout eternity. It's little wonder that these ancient dramas and the complexities within them have captured the hearts of listeners throughout the centuries, drawing them into an immersive world where gods tread the earth in myriad forms, their stories echoing through generations. As intriguing as these mythological tales are, they also remind you of the timeless human proclivity for storytelling, our inherent desire to find meaning within narratives. Amidst the drama and divine squabbles, there's an underlying truth about the dynamic dance of relationships, the give and take, the challenges, the unspoken bonds, and how they reflect the tapestry of existence itself. So as you lie there with your head resting softly on your pillow, you let the story settle around you. The tales of Hera and Zeus, of clouds and swans and bulls, whisper softly into your dreams, leaving behind traces of Olympus's bygone days. You embrace the calm that accompanies this night of myth and magic, the gentle lull between the waking world and slumber, coaxing you into rest, like a gentle mother reassuring her child with a lullaby. Here at the stillness of nighttime, you allow this ancient story to guide you into the depths of dreams, a night full of possibilities where myth and reality intertwine beneath the starlit sky. Echo was known across the realms for her beguiling charm and endless chatter. As you walk through the tranquil landscape of ancient Greece, the soft glow of twilight surrounds you, casting long shadows that dance in tune with the gentle breeze. You find yourself amidst the tales of old, where gods and mortals mingle under the watchful eyes of the stars. Your journey takes you to the heart of a story, woven with mischief and enchantment. This is where Echo steps into the narrative, a nymph blessed with a voice so captivating that it could draw even the most distant stars to listen in awe. Echo's talent was not just her ability to speak endlessly, but how she could weave stories that felt as though time itself was a strand in her hands. The mountains knew her laughter, and the rivers carried her voice long after she had left. In a time of gods who often indulged their whims, Echo found herself a player in their divine games. As you wade through the myths, you learn how Zeus, the king of the gods, would often employ Echo's talent to his advantage, knowing that her enchanting chatter could divert attention when needed. On one such occasion, Zeus relied once more on Echo. His sights were set elsewhere, and he didn't want the discerning eyes of Hera, his wife, to fall upon his activities. After all, Hera was known for her jealousy, which could turn the skies stormy if provoked. So Echo was tasked with a seemingly simple, yet significant role: distract Hera with her wondrous discourse. Echo dove into her task, her voice a river of words that flowed ceaselessly, her tales spun with such intricate detail that Hera's suspicions were lulled, if only for a while. Now here's where the reality sets in, a reality check, if you will. You probably won't survive this without encountering Hera's notorious wrath. Echo's endless charm managed to pacify Hera for a time, but divine patience is finite. Eventually, Hera learned of the ruse. The air around you grows thicker with anticipation as you reach the heart of Echo's tale. Where most would tremble, Echo stood with a calm demeanor, unaware yet of the unraveling curse that awaited her. They say that Greek myths hold truths wrapped in layers of interpretation, and historians still debate whether Echo's fate was sealed by jealousy alone, or if there was something more, perhaps an envy of creativity, that could rival the divine itself. One thing is evident, though: when Hera uncovered the truth, the punishment for Echo was swift and severe. A curse shaped the remainder of Echo's days. She would no longer speak freely. Instead, she could only echo the voices of others, bound eternally to repeat what she heard without original thought. The irony of her name became her fate. Imagine that a voice once free reduced to imitation, and it leaves you pondering how quickly favor can turn to fate. In the softness of the night, as you reflect on Echo's transformation, the world seems to pause, awaiting your understanding of this tragic twist. Perhaps it is a reminder woven into these ancient stories that the powers held by mortals and gods alike can be as fleeting as the echoes themselves. This is the tale of Echo, a nymph whose story is etched into the very foundations of myth. As the soft hum of the world continues, you find yourself traveling deeper into the realms of history, a place where each echo is a whisper from the past inviting you to listen even more closely. In the golden glow of flickering torches, you find yourself amidst the laughter and chatter of a grand celebration. The air is filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers and roasted meats, while music weaves its way through the lively crowd. You are at a wedding unlike any you've known, surrounded by mortals whose ancestors whispered legends of gods and heroes. In this sea of joy and revelry, you spot a figure who seems both familiar and mysterious, a distant uncle from the bride's side, or so he claims. This seemingly unassuming man, with eyes that twinkle like the night sky, has an aura that hints at something divine. As he mingles greeting guests with good-natured jests and a challenging glint, You notice him stealing glances at the heavens, almost as if contemplating some celestial mischief. The bride and groom, blissfully unaware of the drama, soon to unfold, beam with joy as they exchange vows beneath an arch made of ivy and roses, unaware that this charming uncle is none other than Zeus in disguise. The king of the gods, with a penchant for theatrics and an insatiable curiosity about the lives of mortals, chose this wedding as his evening's entertainment. Why, you wonder, would Zeus choose to grace a mortal celebration? Perhaps he craved a departure from the usual dramas of the divine realm, where even his thunderbolts could not mend certain familial tensions. After all, Greek mythology is rife with tales of Olympian squabbles, where gods engaged in conflicts far more intense than mortal weddings typically allowed. As the night wears on, the wine flows freely, more generous than the rivers of Thessaly themselves. The guests relax amidst the festivities, their minds delightfully fogged by the best fermented grapes. You watch as Zeus raises his goblet, a fine horn, intricately etched with scenes of adventure, and joins a lively contest of toasts. His laughter rings out rich and booming like distant thunder, drawing curious stares that quickly turn into smiles throughout the courtyard. Historians still debate whether this particular wedding took place in the quaint countryside of ancient Boeotia, or perhaps in the bustling heart of Athens. Wherever it was, the legacy of that night lives on, thanks in no small part to Zeus's penchant for leaving his mark wherever he went. The night deepens, and an air of expectancy begins to weave itself into the festive atmosphere, a subtle shift that only you and perhaps a few curious souls can sense. You watch as shadows lengthen beneath the firelight, noticing the way Zeus seems to tilt his ear towards the whispers of fate. He leans closer to a group engrossed in tales of heroism and wrath, subtly steering the conversation toward topics of divine tests and mortal courage. Just then, a commotion breaks out at a table across from you, a sudden burst of angry shouts, contrasted sharply against the harmonious tune of the lyre. Two guests, fueled by as much pride as they were nectar, are locked in a heated argument over whose family is nobler. Their voices rise, piercing the joyous night like sharp arrows. Zeus, ever keen to see how humans handled conflict, watches with an inscrutable expression. The argument ignites more than just tempers. It spreads like wildfire among the guests, turning what had been a harmonious gathering into an uproarious debate. You see it happen. You once hoped for peace, but nearly laugh when you think about this crowd, wondering how they contemplated tranquility with Zeus among them. In a mere blink, Zeus's expression shifts. The faintest smirk curls his lips, a sign that the gods do indeed meddle in human affairs from time to time. You think of the tales you've heard, how in ancient Olympic games, athletes competed under the belief that their achievements were watched by gods who might bless the victor, just as Zeus now watches these men's impassioned pleas for familial honor. Astonishingly, the once glossy sky rumbles in response to Zeus's silent dare. It seems the heavens themselves lean closer, eager to watch this drama unfold. Long after the wedding musicians have picked up their tempo, attempting to drown out the discord, You see Zeus stretch his hand discreetly beneath the table fingers, moving as if conducting an invisible symphony, his own private way of stoking the tension with a flicker of godly influence. Those who perceive the nuances of the divine might suspect this as another example of Zeus's notorious nature. Where a peaceful conclusion was possible, his interference often meant things ended in chaos. Yet amid the resulting pandemonium, with chairs knocked over and jugs of wine forgotten on the lawn, a young girl stands with a wisdom beyond her years as the party descends into a chorus of shouts and laughter, with guests choosing sides and debating fates. She steps forward with an unwavering calm that silences the crowd better than any decree from Olympus. Her voice rings clear as the wind across the Aegean, reminding those gathered that the point of the evening was love, not rivalry. Her words reach even Zeus, and for a moment surprise flits across his features. A mortal voice, as compelling as any oracular proclamation he'd ever heard. You witness the impact of her presence ripple through the gathering, pulling at the threads of the party, until it begins to teem with new laughter, one that rings more genuine than before. The argument turns to jesting, the once furious now red-faced, with embarrassment and mirth, as they realize their folly. It seems that tonight, the mortals outmatched even Zeus with the power of empathy and understanding. And so the party finds new harmony not in divine intervention but in human connection. Even the Lord of Olympus seems mollified, perhaps reminded that sometimes even kings can be taught by the simplest truths. As the night gently gives way to dawn's first light, the air grows quieter, the laughter turning into soft whispers and sighs. You look upon Zeus now in a much softer light as he watches the last dance of the evening unfold. His eyes reflect something almost wistful, an understanding perhaps of what mortals possess, that even the divine sometimes yearns for. You feel a gentle peace settle over the gathering, like a warm blanket drawn over a sleepy child. The edges of the horizon blush, with the first hint of morning cradling the world in tranquil silence. You let your eyes drift shut, ears filled with the last soft notes of the lyre, knowing that the story's end, much like its beginning, will linger in memory for years to come. And thus, in the quiet aftermath of a divine encounter at a mortal wedding, the night lulls you into a deep slumber, where dreams promise a land of myths and mortals of laughter and lessons, where even gods find themselves entranced by the beauty of the human spirit. In the gentle flicker of torchlight that bathes the world in a soothing glow, your eyes drift over scenes from ancient Greece, where artisans used the clay of their land to shape vessels, each telling tales more captivating than the last. As you peer into the intricate patterns of a Greek vase, you find yourself drawn into myth, a time where gods walked among mortals, sometimes undetected, and other times with an awkwardly fitting disguise. Zeus, king of the gods, was especially fond of descending from Olympus, wrapped in a cloak of mystery. Picture yourself wandering through an olive grove one evening. The rustle of leaves overhead suggests a gentle breeze, not unlike the wings of an eagle, a favored guise of Zeus. Legend whispers that he once took this majestic form to win the heart of Ganymede, a tale rendered elegantly into black and red on countless pieces of ancient pottery. The curves of the vase echo the gentle hidden curves of the hills where you imagine Zeus might have soared above, casting shadows long and graceful. But it wasn't always the form of a bird that Zeus chose. As you stroll deeper into the embraces of this mythic past, imagine slipping on the smooth skin of a bull, as Zeus did to charm Europa. This time his adventure takes an awkward turn, reminiscent of a scene ascribed to Renaissance imaginations, where great artists boldly captured this divine farce in grand paintings. There, amidst bucolic backdrops, heads of great bulls sit humorously atop the torso of a soaring deity, a playful mix of majesty and whimsy. The smooth curves of those wide horns, still debated by historians, hint at grandeur and comical misplacement, in the same breath a testament to the gods' unpredictable nature. Your path brings you near a stream, its water as tranquil as the painted scenes you've traversed. Think of a Grecian urn with Heracles wrestling a lion, a detail that transpires into Zeus's own story in the guise of a mythic beast when he transformed into a swan to woo Leda. Did she know, you wonder, that beneath the pristine feathers lay a god's unpredictable intent? With historians puzzling over the symbolic implications of this transformation, the story shimmers in ambiguity, teasing the edges of possibility with each ripple on the surface. Somewhere beyond the shadowed hedgerow, you find yourself surrounded by masterpieces of the Renaissance, where skilled hands reimagine these ancient tales with vibrant oils and sweeping brushstrokes. One of these captures Zeus, transforming into a shower of gold, a curious and strangely beautiful adaptation, possibly more shimmering than any piece of jewelry that may have caught your eye today. It was in this form that he approached Danaë, a story best marveled at from the quiet of your imagination, where the glittering specks of artistic brilliance bounce around, just as you imagine those golden flecks would have danced in the play of candlelight. As you progress through this tapestry of history and art, remember some stories remain half-spelled scribbles on cracked pottery and faded canvas. Over time, you may find that Zeus's choice of disguise moves far beyond the appearances themselves, straying into the realm of intention. Historians still marvel at the emotional and psychological layers once buried under centuries-old dust, pondering how these ancient beings, gods and mortals alike, mirrored our own complexities. Imagine yourself now tracing the lineage of your own thoughts, winding back from ancient soils to that still, silent gallery where the air sits heavy with the history of interpretations. The myths remain eternal, stretching across both the pages of your mind and the art pieces that invite you to ponder endlessly. Softly and subtly you find your eyelids weighed with stories as dreams slip through the gentle breeze, whispering the bedtime tales of otherworldly worlds directly to your soul. And so, in the stillness of the night, as legend intertwines with reality and sleepy thoughts, you lie down to rest, cushioned by the weight of stories, ancient as time itself. As the gentle chirping of crickets serenades your descent into dreams, imagine Zeus, too, drifting off, wrapped in his own cozy cloud, waiting for when you might call upon him next, a god at ease in the guise of myths and memories, just as you continue to ponder wondrous worlds upon closing your eyes. Historians have turned their minds to the tapestry of Greek mythology for centuries, weaving each thread with threads of doubt and debate. Legend has it, Zeus was not just the formidable king of the gods, but also a master of disguise. In the oscillating flicker of dreams and myth, you find yourself drifting down the corridors of time where stories were passed over hearth fires and shadows danced on ancient walls. Some say Zeus could transform himself into a lion, his mane resplendent and fierce, a creature born of raw power as he prowled through the dense forests of lore. Others, with a twinkle in their eye, say he became a flame, a symbol of warmth and destruction, flickering with the promise of sudden change. And can you believe it? A tale so whimsical, yet utterly plausible, is that Zeus, once transformed into a loaf of bread. Yes, a simple, humble loaf, soft and welcoming. Bread, after all, is the fabric of sustenance, slipping seamlessly into the myth, as quietly as you now slip into the cushions of your bed. Yet beneath the stars of antiquity, historians still puzzle over these shape-shifting stories. Whether these transformations are metaphors for his ever-expanding influence or literal accounts of divine trickery remains a question buried in layers of interpretation. Scholars sleep on these debates, just as you find yourself drifting, letting the soothing cadence of history envelop you like a comforting blanket. In these tales, Zeus's mischief wasn't merely for grandeur or whimsy. In one version, while cloaked as a lion, he merged into his domain of beasts and wildness, slipping unseen into the fabric of nature itself. Imagine the pure thrill and utter chaos that would arise. If a lion could wield the might of thunder, Zeus knew the strength of his prowess, a fact as solid as the marble Athenian pillars and as elusive as whispers on the night's breeze. And what of Zeus as a flame artists and poets have captured such passionate transformations? His fiery embodiment representing not just the torch of knowledge, but also the flames kindled in the hearts of those who dared to defy or understand him. Fire, a symbol of life and destruction, dances like history's unresolved debates, flickering on the edges of certainty and chaos. As for the loaf of bread, you wonder deep into the night how one could imagine such humbleness. Perhaps this form reflects a gentler aspect of Zeus, a nod to nourishment and the quiet strength of simplicity. It's an image so comically bizarre, there must be truth hiding somewhere in the dough. All these forms raise a gentle question. Was Zeus showing parts of the world what was possible, or merely amusing himself through the ages? You feel a chuckle, bubbling up, perhaps echoing the cosmic laughter of a god amused at human inquiry. As Zeus himself once said, or perhaps didn't, historians certainly argue over his words. Let the mortals ponder while I revel in my mysteries. Each transformation, like a vignette painted in an ancient gallery, reveals unexpected facets of Zeus. These stories whisper of power mingled with humility, just as waves, crashing onto a shore, tell tales of strength and retreat. Historians may remain at odds about if Zeus was truly a lion or a flickering flame. But each story holds its place, in the grand narrative, bringing you naturally to rest on its soft rhythm. In the solace of this soft mythological embrace, you let these images swirl around your mind like a gentle breeze stirring fallen leaves. As historians debate, you find no need for answers here, only the comfort of speculation as you drift into a tranquil slumber. Let the nature of the gods be an enigma for the waking world to untangle. For now, Zeus's transformations weave a tender lullaby, allowing you to slip effortlessly into the arms of rest. The moon hangs high above a world laden with mystery, glowing like an ancient lantern that perfectly balances suspense and serenity. You find yourself nestled comfortably, cocooned in your favorite blanket, as this night draws you deeper into the world of stories. The air is dense with the scent of night-blooming jasmine, a sweet prelude to a tale that's both soothing and a bit mischievous. Your mind eager to explore the curious corners of mythology awaits what comes next. As you drift into this realm, you begin to imagine the intricate and often bizarre theater of Greek mythology, where gods and mortals danced on a stage set by fate and folly. It's all very mesmerizing until a voice in your head reminds you ancient Greece was a place where storms could appear without warning, or proclamations of power could turn life upside down with just a hissed word. In a world ruled by such capricious deities, you wonder if you would have made it through without being turned into a tree or a goat, just like someone in those tales. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Feel free to post your location and local time. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself in the bustling city of Athens, the cradle of democracy, under the rule of the ever-impetuous Zeus. From the Acropolis, the city stretches out below a testament to human perseverance and divine inspiration. But as you begin to feel the weight of history, another story unfurls a myth so peculiar that scholars are still scratching their heads, wondering if it wasn't a trickster god playing pretend. In this legend, Zeus, known for his thunderbolt-wielding prowess and a penchant for disguises, may not be the leading actor. This myth begins with an unusual gathering of the gods on Mount Olympus, their silken robes whispering as they murmur in conspiratorial tones. Yet their leader, the almighty Zeus, appears unusually absent. Historians still debate whether this myth reflects Zeus's actual deeds or whether another deity stepped into his shoes. With a flair for drama, some suspect a minor god, or perhaps a mischievous nymph, took on his guise to pull off a feat so fantastical it could rival even the tales of ancient Greece. The tale unfolds on a tempestuous night when storms roll in, as if commanded by the elements themselves. In the tale, a mysterious figure, apparently Zeus, descends to the mortal world, not with the expected thunderclap, but with a surprising softness that leaves you pondering. This supposed Zeus approaches a small village nestled in the shadow of a great mountain. The villagers, familiar with myths and always wary of God's whims, greet him with a mix of awe and palpable dread. What's unexpected, though, is that this Zeus does not arrive demanding tribute or respect. He comes bearing gifts, a chest filled not with treasures or divine weapons, but with enigmatic objects that spark a gleam of curiosity. Each item within tells its own peculiar story, such as an olive branch whose leaves shimmer with an otherworldly glow. The olive branch, scholars suggest, might have been a token to prevent storms or perhaps a relic from an ancient peace treaty between divine beings. But the most puzzling finds are the simple earthly objects imbued with fantastical properties, like a small ordinary rock that allegedly sings under the moonlight, a detail that you'll find hard to forget, tucked in the back of your mind for later reflection. As the village welcomes this strange gift-bearing god, tales spread like wildfire, reaching the hills and echoing across the land. Yet not everyone is convinced. Among the chatter, a philosopher known for her skepticism, a rare thing in times where gods and myths ruled daily life, raises a brow. She argues that Zeus, in all his celestial glory, had never before delivered simple joys like singing stones. Who then was this new benefactor with an unexpected touch of humanity? Even as she shared her doubts, villagers continued to gather around the ever-absurd Zeus, who seemed as comfortable in his role as a weather-beaten actor finally receiving his due. While some felt the warmth of divine favor, others whispered that this was not Zeus at all, but a performer from another world entirely. Rumors of the impostor's identity swirled through the air like dust on Hermes sandals. Theories lingered in the minds of scholars for centuries, collecting like myths themselves. With each retelling, the story sparkled with the same cosmic wonder that makes it hard to decide what's more incredible, the idea of Zeus performing such gentle acts, or the possibility that someone else, with a distinct taste for theatrics, seized his visage like a costume for a night on the mythological stage. As you lie there cocooned in your blanket contemplating these possibilities, you feel the light twinkle of doubt in your mind. The night hums softly around you, the world outside fading into whispers and calm as you ponder what might have been. Who wore the mask and what message did they truly bring? There's comfort in the uncertainty, as if the truth, like the tales themselves, is not fixed, but dances quietly in the starlit skies above. As the stars twinkle gently above the hallowed peaks of Mount Olympus, a sense of anticipation fills the air. You've been on a long journey through time, exploring the many forms and faces of the mighty Zeus, the king of the gods. Now that you've met him in nearly every shape imaginable, close your eyes. You feel that delicate breeze on your cheek. It could very well be a whisper from the past, a hint that another myth is starting to weave its tale around you. The night is serene with the rhythmic chirping of crickets accompanying your thoughts. You can't help but remember the intriguing fact that in some ancient cultures, people believed crickets were the souls of poets, forever singing their art into the night. It makes you wonder what stories and myths have been carried on the wings of the crickets now gathering around you. One of those tales certainly involves Zeus and his many escapades. You recall that time when, as a supple eagle, he swept away the handsome Ganymede to serve as the cupbearer of the gods. It's a classic example of Zeus's penchant for transformation, a motif that echoes throughout the myths. It leaves you pondering historians still debate whether Ganymede's role spoke more of divine admiration or symbolized something greater about human beauty and its transcendence. As your mind drifts through these old stories, you suddenly remember the tale of Europa, the Phoenician princess. She was another muse who caught Zeus's ever-wandering eye. He transformed into a majestic white bull, but not just any bull, for this particular form was so enchanting that Europa herself couldn't resist climbing upon his back. It's peculiar, isn't it? The king of gods had mastery of both grandeur and subtlety, such that even in bovine form, he was irresistible. Gently, you're swept into the warm embrace of the bull's adventure, as you imagine the soft wind in Europa's hair and the sea foam playfully kissing her feet as they crossed the seas. It's said that they reached the island of Crete, where she would later bear 3 sons to Zeus, one of whom, Minos, was destined to become a legendary king. This tale, as colorful as any painting, brings with it a surprise not often known: the curious belief that Europa gave her name to an entire continent. Yet historians find charming irony in how her story, drowned in the depths of mythology, proved pivotal in naming Europe. The night deepens darkness, enveloping you like a protective shroud. The soothing light from the moon gently spills over Mount Olympus, where each nook and cranny holds a mystery. Somewhere on that ethereal peak, where few mortals have ever tread, mythical beings gather. The place where Zeus's throne supposedly resides, grand, perhaps yet unseen, sets you wondering. It's said that clouds themselves obeyed him, forming pathways or obstacles at Zeus's command, offering an interesting twist. How often were storms more than mere meteorological phenomena, but rather the descent or pleasure of the gods? Do you sense it? That gentle caress of air on your skin, like a whisper that heralds the unknown. It's not just the breeze's playful nature, but also the weight of history veiled in its touch. You remember learning about the myth of Semele, that unfortunate lover of Zeus, who met a fiery end. As the story goes, her earnest desire to see Zeus in his full glory resulted in overwhelming radiance, a testament to the intense power of his divine being, which not even she could withstand. In moments like these, shadowed whispers and hushed tones, the grandiose tales of yore draw nearer, sending soft flutters through your thoughts. Zeus's propensity for change and disguise taught the ancient Greeks about duality, power, and consequence. And yet one wonders about the odd anecdote of him hiding from his own father in a cave on Crete, as a baby fed on goat's milk to keep him hidden. It almost humanizes him, doesn't it? Before the might, before the thunderbolts, there was a child seeking refuge. It's easy to imagine the gentle tug of curiosity pulling you further into the depths of this wondrous night, the quiet hum of ancient stories wrapped in moonlit shadows. Myths and history entwine, leaving a lingering thought: did mortals shape their gods? Or did gods mold the imagination of mortals? The question hovers around you, ephemeral and somehow comforting. Your eyes grow heavy as tales, and history enfolds you within their embrace. Every sigh of the wind, every rustle of the leaves seems like another piece of history reaching out. Mount Olympus, with its steep cliffs, stands silent, watching over the ancient world, holding secrets of the gods. And yet the serene night persuades even the most restless thoughts to find peace. As you rest, think of those myths as the cradle of human imagination, each tale a soft lullaby strumming gently on the strings of time. The breeze you feel coast gently across your cheeks, whispering soothing secrets and unspoken wonders, falling slowly towards dreams. The night remains still, a pointed reminder that Zeus continues to watch over, perhaps not in physical form, but through legacy and story, interwoven into the fabric of the night and your dreams. Let the stories of gods and legends carry you softly into slumber, the guardian of the night, enveloping you in safe warmth, the kind that reminds you every tale is but a gateway to another ancient pathway. As dreams beckon, feel assured by the gentle heartbeats of history and myth, ensuring that your night, like those told tales, is both magical and eternal.